Hello and welcome to Flos at the Place in the Park. We're a community enterprise hub based in Oxford. I am McKenna, I'm the communities manager here at Flos, the Place in the Park, and I'll be telling you a little bit about how we started up this project and what we're doing now. Yeah, follow me. Hi everyone, so nice to be here at the Together We Can Summit. Very sorry that no one from the Flos team was able to attend live, but we're really honoured to be asked to speak at this great event and hope this video will be interesting to you just to hear a little bit about our project at Flos, the Place in the Park. So I'm going to share some pictures and just kind of tell the story of how Flos was started up by a group of local people who were upset when their local children's centre closed. And I'll also be offering a bit of perspective about what we've done in the meantime to make it work since we opened in 2018. So we are Flos, the Place in the Park. We are a community benefit hub based in Oxford, and Flos was started up in 2018 following county closures of children's centres all across Oxfordshire. And the local children's centre that was in our area is the Florence Park Children's Centre, which is pictured here. It was a beautiful building, purpose-built as a children's centre, but in 2017 it sadly closed down due to the funding cuts. And the local community was outraged. How could this happen? How could we make sure that this community centre was really kept in the hands of local people and was serving especially young children in the area? It was a beautiful purpose-built building that was only been built in 2007 with special surfaces and roofs and spaces, excellent for young children. So it was really, there was a strong impetus to make sure that it kept being used for young children, but also for the wider community in a more holistic way. This is pictures of what it used to look like when it was a children's centre. And what happened was that a group of local people got together and started scheming and planning and effectively started a campaign to take the building back into community hands. These are just some photos of the early days planning. How could this happen? What would it look like? And there was a few other organisations who were pitching for the lease of the building to the county council who had to have the lease on it. And there was a whole process around this, which I won't go into in detail, but basically there was a strong community campaign. Lots of people signed a petition. Here's a great photo that went in the press. There was quite a lot of media attention. And in the end, the campaigning group of local residents won the campaign and set up a community benefit society, which was called People, Place and Participation. Now, a community benefit society is basically an organisation that is owned by its members and it has to serve the community which it defines itself. So in our case, that is the local community in Florence Park and Cowley, which is sort of East Oxford area. It's owned by its members. It has an asset lock, so any income that is generated through the company has to be used in that community, but it can trade. It's not forbidden from trading, and the trading limit is quite high, but it also has charitable means. And because we've decided to register as a charitable community benefit society, we have a very tight asset lock. And we're also recognised by HMRC for charitable purposes. So that was decided to be the best entity formation that we went for in the end. And local people designed this lovely logo, which sort of says some of the things we do on it: cafe, nursery, refill shop, events, midwives, room hire. There's lots of different ideas at the beginning about what Flos really could be, but the idea was that it should be a holistic place for the whole community, where we would try and combine different elements of what the community needed, combine the local economy with services that could be provided to the community, and make sure that it was a place for people from all backgrounds and all ages. It was a long period of sorting out paperwork and arranging all the necessary processes, but eventually we got the key, and there was a huge sense of relief at that point because it had taken a lot of hard work from the dedicated steering committee at the time of local residents, all of whom were volunteers at the time. That was at the start of April 2018, and very shortly afterwards, we opened our community share offer, which was an opportunity for local people to buy a share. And the shares that people could purchase were anything between £100 to £5,000. We particularly advertised our shares to local people. And in the end, we managed to raise £50,000 through community shares. This is a picture of the community shares offer document that we put out. And it has lots of information about the plans that we had for the centre. And most importantly, at the top here, you can see what we were offering people. So we were aiming to raise £50,000. People could invest £250, or if they live locally, £100, up to £5,000. The offer was open for 2 months, and the interest that's payable on those shares is 2%. So every year we have decided to pay people the interest. People can withdraw their shares if they need to, and they can also decide that we don't need to pay them their interest. So people can decline their interest being paid, which some people have done. The share offer at Flos was matched through the Community Shares Booster Programme, which Co-ops UK run, which is down here, so you can see their logo. And that meant that so at Flos, in addition to being a shareholder member, anybody can become a member. There's a £5 admin fee per year. And if you're a member, you're allowed to come to the AGM. At the AGM, we vote on who our trustees should be, we vote on key resolutions and talk about the plans and the future for Flos. We're accountable to our members ultimately. So that's where lots of interesting conversations happen around what we're doing, what we're not doing, and how the finances are being spent. So yes, in September 2018, we finally opened Flos. It was a wonderful community event. 300 people turned up, even though it was pouring with rain. There was a great sense of victory and excitement about the future. So now, what actually happens at Flos nowadays? Well, we have a nursery, a cafe, a refill shop. We rent out rooms for hire. The NHS have their community midwives based here. We run lots of children's and family activities. We do some community projects, and we incubate new social enterprises. I'm just going to talk you through some of the things that we do. These are our areas of work that we sort of defined: families, food, social enterprise, and nature. And they have really emerged over the years as we've responded to local community need. So one of our key elements of Flos is our nature-based nursery. Flos Nursery has space for about 25 children at any one time. We have lots of free places, which are government funded 2- and 3-year-old places. And we prioritise children who receive funding on our waiting lists. We support a lot of children who have English as a second language. Last year that was 28 children. And we also have 13 children who have special additional needs. It's a very happy place, the Nature Nursery. The emphasis is entirely on learning in and through nature, and we're so blessed to be in the park for that. We also run other activities for children, regular activities for families with under 5s. And we also have lots of community events at Flos which bring together people from all different ages and backgrounds. Last week we celebrated Eid, but then we also had a May Day celebration. So you can tell there's a great diversity of the kind of events that happen here. We also have our Flos Cafe, which is very popular among locals and is a key source of income for us. Cafe tries to focus on really fresh food, healthy food, and it has a range of lunches and snacks and cakes, and is a key kind of core part of what lots of people come to Flos initially through the cafe. We also have a plastic-free refill shop, which was not part of the original plan. Originally, we wanted to have a craft shop, but actually, we've always said at Flos it's important to respond to the interest and the need in the community, and there was a real appetite to have a plastic-free shop. So over the last 2-3 years, we've been building up this refill shop where you can bring your empty container to have it filled. And that's largely staffed by volunteers with staff support. As I said, the NHS midwives are based here, which is wonderful because it means we have lots of new parents and babies. During the pandemic, Flos has taken a very active role in responding to the food crisis and food poverty and inequality in our area. We've teamed up with several other organisations, and for a year and a half, we cooked fresh lunches twice a week that were delivered to people who weren't able to access food. And now we have a kind of role in the partnership of tackling food inequality and food poverty. It's a whole other programme that we run. And really across that partnership of other local organisations between us, we provide community meals, emergency meal packages, food parcel support and cooking education. And the role of Flows in that is to galvanise support to create this partnership, which we really hope will start to, in a sustainable way, tackle food inequality in the area, even post-COVID, obviously, as new and in some cases much more pressing needs are emerging. Another interesting part of what we've done in the last few years is reclaimed a disused mini golf course that was just empty and nothing was happening with it just next door in the park. It's now been transformed through wonderful effort from the community of digging, planting, creating a pond to create this community nature escape space where groups can come and use it for educational purposes. It's largely used by schools and nurseries for forest school type activities, but anybody can come and use it as a quiet space to learn from and with nature. Last year, we decided to say, well, we've become a thriving community enterprise. Can we support others to do the same? So we've been providing incubation support for new social enterprises that want to set up. So one of those is Damascus Rose Kitchen, which has been set up here by Vazal and Nuha and Fadia, who are members of our community, who are from refugee backgrounds from Syria, and they really wanted to set up a catering company to start sharing their culture with others and also generating income and jobs for their community. So we've helped them do that in the last year. No Vice Ice is a similar organisation that has been set up by people who live with invisible health conditions, and they make 100% local fruit ice lollies that are sold at Flows, and work to train people who have invisible health conditions back into work. I thought I'd briefly explain how our governance structure works. I'm not sure if people find that interesting, but I gather that that might be interesting to some people. We have a trustee board, which governs us as an organisation, and then we have subgroups that work to support the trustee board. We actually also have a trading subsidiary because we're now quite a large organisation. So we have a trading subsidiary that is wholly owned by the Community Benefit Society that we are. Our staff team now has about 32 people, which is always baffles me since we only set up in 2018, only opened in September 2018. So we're not yet full. But most of those people live locally, and we're really pleased that that is one of the important social benefits that we've had, is creating those new jobs in the area. People might be interested to hear about where our income comes from. So this obviously changes year to year, but we've always said we don't want to be reliant on grants. That's why we have traded businesses. We're not an entirely pure charity. We are trying to think about how can the local economy really support charitable projects and community initiatives. So at the moment, about 80% of our income comes through trading, and the other 20% comes through grants and donations. Rhiannon, who's one of the organisers of this summit, has asked me to give some advice about what I would say to people who are maybe interested in also setting up a similar type of project. And I was wondering about what could I say? I guess, you know, if one is right at the beginning of this kind of thing, the key thing is to have lots of people who have time and have energy and have skills. And I think that's the only reason it's worked here. We had a lot of very dedicated people who really had a vision for this place and who had skills in a huge number of different areas that are needed to set up a centre like this. And it took time, and I think it's not worth underestimating how much voluntary time and gifted time it's taken till we're able to be an organisation that now employs people and creates work for people. As I mentioned before, having community share offer really helped us boost and get a startup capital that we needed. I'd also say when we initially opened, we didn't run the cafe. We only ran some parts of the building, and we leased part of the space out to run an external cafe, which was good because we took it gradually. Basically, we didn't try and do everything at once. Initially, we parceled off parts, got the rental income from that. And over time, we've now been able to take on the running of the cafe as part of Flows. But I don't think we could have done that at the beginning. So building up gradually is a really important part. And finally, really responding to the need and the interest in your community. We've always said that the charitable work we do will respond to emerging needs. And that's why we've said, okay, there seems to be a real gap around provision for under fives in our area. Obviously, during the pandemic, we became much more aware of the need around food poverty and food inequality. That's a very pressing need here. But also, there's been this great interest in lots of small grassroots organisations who want to be doing work and who we as a slightly larger organisation can support to do that work through partnership work, through helping them set up their own business, that kind of thing. So we've decided to take that approach of being quite emergent and responsive to needs, and for us that's worked really well. And I think if one's too set in what your vision is, that maybe can become hampering as things change. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. It's been a great pleasure to be able to share a bit about Flos with you all. You're really welcome to get in touch with me. That's my email address on the screen. We also have a website, and you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. But yeah, please do get in touch if you're interested about what we're doing, and if you want to talk more, I'm more than happy to. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of this summit. Thank you.